were on the ground to beef up security across the area while movement was being restricted to ensure each free exercise. According to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, over 1.5 million voters have collected their permanent voters card PVCs for the election. Unlike the 36 states of the Federation, the City Council election is handled by INEC. This is because while other states are handled by the respective governors, the FCT is administered by a minister who is appointed by the president.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Amupiton, has expressed satisfaction with the conduct of the Federal Capital Territory FCT Area Council elections, describing the process as orderly, efficient and peaceful. He made this known today in Abuja while speaking with newsmen after monitoring the process at a few polling units within the Abuja Municipal Area Council. Amupiton maintained that the performance of the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, and the level of voter turnout were positive indicators for the country's democratic process. He highlighted the speed of the accreditation process, noting that the BVAS technology had significantly reduced waiting times for voters. INEC boss commended the turnout of voters, attributing it to an increased awareness among citizens regarding the importance of participating in the electoral process. He also praised the calm atmosphere and the conduct of both voters and security personnel.
In the same development, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Joash Amupiton, has assured residents of the FCT that their votes will count in the council poll, reiterating that the results would be electronically transmitted to the INEC results viewing portal. Amupiton gave the assurance while monitoring the FCT Council election today across some polling units in Abuja Municipal Council. The INEC chairman explained that the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, is working efficiently. Amupiton said the in-transmission is in accordance with extant laws. He praised officials of the commission for the early deployment of election materials, adding that so far the polls have been peaceful across the FCT. According to him, the credibility of the FCT area council elections will strengthen the confidence in grassroots democracy, particularly as the nation prepares for the general election in 2027. The FCT election is one of Amupiton's first major assignments since assuming office as the chairman of the electoral umpire in October 2025.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has said the low turnout recorded in today's by-election in Kano State may not be unconnected with Ramadan and public perception that the contest involved few candidates. The INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in the state, Ambassador Abdu Zango, made this known while addressing newsmen during the on-the-spot assessment of the poll at Kano Municipal Area of the state. Ambassador Zango adjudged the election as peaceful and violence-free, commending residents for their orderly conduct. According to him, several factors were responsible for the low turnout of voters. Reacting to questions on why other opposition parties did not participate in the election and allegations leveled against the commission, the REC said the commission had not received any complaints.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has warned Nigerians to be careful of a fraudulent recruitment link circulating online, distancing itself from what it described as a fake and misleading website. In a notice posted on its official X platform today, the Commission stated that INEC ad hoc staff recruitment 2026 is fake, misleading and not authorized by the Commission. INEC made it clear that it did not approve or originate the link being shared. The electoral body cautioned Nigerians against providing sensitive information on the platform.
This broadcast of Newscope comes to you from the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, Ibadan. Over 30 people have been killed and several others abducted following a bandit attack on Dotsin Dana Jia village in Anka local government area of Zamfara state. The attack occurred when the gunmen invaded the village around midnight on Thursday until the early hours of Friday. Residents said the gunmen, who reportedly arrived on motorcycles, blocked the village entrance and began shooting sporadically before carrying out the abductions. Meanwhile, Governor Dauda Lawal has directed the Deputy Governor, Mani Mumuni, to visit the affected community. The visit is aimed at sympathizing with residents and conveying the governor's message of condolences to the families of the Zamfara is one of the northwestern states affected by banditry, who most times struggle for resource control.
Operatives of the Ondo State Police Command have arrested 13 suspects in connection with a recent violent attack in Idori town. The spokesman of the Ondo State Police Command, Abayomi Jimo, said the attack, which happened on February 18, led to the death of 2 persons. Jimo stated that 3 other victims sustained injuries, while several properties were destroyed during the World Gathering of the All Progressives Congress (APC) in the town. He said that the arrest followed a carefully coordinated intelligence-led operation ordered by the Ondo State Commissioner of Police, Adebowale Lawal. According to him, the suspects have made useful statements that are aiding the ongoing investigations.
The Oyo State Police Command has arrested one Garuba Aminu, aged 20 years, for unlawful possession of a suspected human part. According to reports, the suspect, who disguised as a scavenger at the commercial Oroki area of Oyo, was nabbed by vigilant members of the community for his strange movements and conduct. Acting promptly and responsibly, concerned residents subjected him to a search, during which a cut lower right leg, suspected to be a human part, was discovered inside a large sack containing waste plastic bottles in his possession. Upon receipt of the report, a police joint patrol team, in collaboration with other security partners, swiftly rushed to the scene, where an angry mob had gathered with intent to lynch the suspects. The team professionally dispersed the mob and rescued him from imminent harm, while the suspected human part was recovered as exhibit and secured for forensic and investigative purposes. The suspect has since been transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department for discreet and thorough investigation to unravel the circumstances surrounding the incident.
In the same vein, Oyo State Police Command has arrested hoodlums who allegedly robbed unsuspecting members of the public along Eleboja of Alawa-Kala Expressway, Ibadan. Acting promptly on the information from vigilant residents, operatives of the command's anti-counterfeiting and fraud unit embarked on a targeted surveillance patrol in the area to apprehend the suspect and also to prevent further criminality. During the patrol, 2 suspects identified as Elijah TJ, 21 years, and Otu Emmanuel, male, 33 years, were arrested. A search conducted on their person and belongings led to the recovery of 2 toy pistols and some illicit drugs, which were immediately secured as exhibit for investigation. The swift response of the operatives prevented potential escalation of criminal activity and also safeguarded the community. Upon interrogation, the suspect confessed to multiple acts of robbery along the aforementioned axis and other locations within and outside of the state. The suspects remain in custody as the investigation continues, and the Commissioner of Police, CP Femi Aruno, has directed that upon the conclusion of the investigation, they be charged to court in accordance with the law.
The federal government has been urged to ensure that all states domesticate, implement and strictly enforce the Child Rights Act of 2003 as a decisive step towards eradicating child marriage in Nigeria. A medical social worker, Dr. Abdulateef Adeoti, and a child advocate, Sumisola Abiono, made the call while speaking on BCOS TV's magazine program Saturday Special. BCOS reporter Olamide Owolabi reports.
Child marriage remains a major social challenge in Nigeria, despite ongoing advocacy and legal interventions aimed at curbing the practice. Speaking on Business Saturday Special, medical social worker Dr. Abdulateef Adeoti described child marriage as a forced and premature union arranged by parents or guidance without the informed consent of the child. He identified poverty, religious and cultural beliefs as well as economic pressures as key drivers of the practice. Dr. Adeoti warned that child marriage exposes victims to serious health risk, emotional trauma, and long-term social consequences.
And of course, we have several reasons why we have why this thing continues: the religion, the cultural practices, and so many more. Why people engage in that practices? Most of those things happens in more of the rural areas, which of course they could not be able to afford the girls' educations, and they see it as a way of escaping their responsibility. Most of the states that even adopted the 2003 Child Rights Act, most of them that domesticated the law in their state are not really implementing it.
Also on the program, legal practitioner and child advocate Sumisola Abiona defined child marriage as any marital union involving persons under the age of 18, regardless of gender. She emphasized the need to place higher value on the girl child, stressing that she should not be perceived merely as a future wife or mother, but as an individual with enormous potential to contribute meaningfully to the society.
And one major factor that cannot be overemphasized on the issue of child marriage is poverty. When parents, they see it as a way to shift their responsibility to another person. They just say, let this one get married. At least we have less mouth to feed, we have less people to clothe. And you now talk about the issue of dowry. We have a case where some family got over $100,000 as bride price, yes. So they say every child should be given the opportunity to grow up and chart a course for their life. No parent has the right to say, okay, this is the person you marry when you grow up. It's an offense. So talking about whether these children are met virgins or they are not, this that they give out child and they marry because they want them to make them as virgin is just one of the factors perpetrators hide under. So in most cases, it might not even be so. And in most cases, in some other cases, it might be so. But whether it is so or not so, that is not the point. The point is, child marriage is a violation of human rights. Let these children grow up, let them come to the age of maturity and chart a course for their own life.
The guest called on parents, governments at all levels, religious institutions, and community leaders to intensify efforts to keep girls in school, noting that education remains one of the most effective tools in reducing the incidence of child marriage. Oluyole, BCS News.
During Ramadan, fasting from dawn to sunset is not only a spiritual obligation but also a physical test of endurance. After long hours without food or water, the first items consumed at iftar, particularly fruit, play a vital role in restoring energy, hydration and essential nutrients. Our reporter, Temitope Oluyole, takes a closer look at the relationship between Ramadan and fruit consumption.
Fruits occupy a special place during Ramadan, serving as a gentle bridge between prolonged fasting and a full meal. For many, reaching for dates or watermelon at iftar is both a religious tradition and a practical way to regain strength and hydration. However, experts note that fruit choices are often guided by habit rather than nutritional knowledge. Some fruits, though appealing, may contain high acidity levels that can irritate the stomach after hours of fasting. Speaking with BCS News, a professor of food technology at the University of Ibadan, Rahman Akinyosho, explained that many people consume fruits at iftar without understanding the science behind the practice. He advised that fruits with high acidity and low pH levels, such as lemon, grape, and agbalumo, should be avoided when breaking the fast, because they may cause stomach discomfort due to their sour nature. Professor Akinyosho recommended opting for ripe fruits such as papaya, mango, banana, dates, and watermelon, preferably taken with a glass of water. According to him, these fruits contain natural sugars that help replenish lost fluids and provide immediate energy.
If you want to break, it is advisable that people give us something that will replenish the energy and the water. And if you look at the fruits that are recommended or that will be mentioning, or whatever fruits you want to use, you must use one that can serve the purpose. However, there are some that will have reactive effects that must not be used. If you are talking about fruits that will serve the purpose, you must take fruit that has sugar. What interests us is sugar and water. Though most fruit contain high content moisture, water. So whatever fruit you want to use is something that have sugar and water. But there are some fruits, basic things that can use physical to determine them or to screen them out. Any fruit that has acid, high acid in quotes content is not ideal, it's not recommended. Something like lemon, something like grapefruit, something like African star apple that we call agbalumo. To know them, to determine their sourness, that is an indicator that the pH is low. And when the pH is low, below 7, it is not recommended for you to use it to break fast.
The food technologist further clarified that fruits are not substitutes for a balanced meal, but serve as a quick source of natural sugars that act as an energy booster before the main meal is consumed.
Watermelon is an excellent one. It has high quantity of water, and the acidic value content is low, and you also have the sugar content that is moderate. Fruits in this category, dates is there, ripe papaya, ripe pawpaw is there, is recommended, ripe mango is recommended, ripe banana is recommended.
He therefore urged the public to prioritize properly ripened fruits when breaking their fast and to avoid unripe or overly acidic varieties that may irritate the digestive system after prolonged abstinence.
That was reported by Adebayo Abdurafi.
On the foreign scene, United States President Donald Trump has imposed a new 10% global tariff to replace one struck down by the Supreme Court. He called the ruling terrible, lambasting the justices who rejected his trade policy as fools. The president unveiled the plan shortly after the justices outlawed most of the global tariffs the White House announced last year. In a 6-3 decision, the court held that the president had overstepped his powers. The decision was a major victory for businesses and U.S. states that had challenged the duties, opening the door to potentially billions of dollars in tariff reforms, while also injecting new uncertainty into the global trade landscape. Speaking from the White House, Trump said he would turn to other laws to press ahead with his tariffs, which he has argued encourage investment and manufacturing in the U.S.
To end this edition of Newscope, here again are the main points. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Amukpiton, has expressed satisfaction with the conduct of the Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections, describing the process as orderly, efficient, and peaceful.
Over 30 people have been killed and several others abducted following a bandit attack on Dotsin Dana village in Anka local government area of Zamfara state.
The Oyo State Police Command has arrested one Garuba Aminu, aged 20 years, who disguised as a scavenger at the commercial Oroki area of Oyo for unlawful possession of a suspected human parts.
And on the foreign scene, United States President Donald Trump has imposed a new 10% global tariff to replace ones struck down by the Supreme Court.
And that's all from Newscope Desk for now. It was packaged by Mary Adidapo and delivered by
Oluyole
and Tabitha Komolafe. Thanks for listening, and do not forget to tune in for the Yoruba version that comes out by 8 p.m. Good evening.
àríyá o gbogbo ẹni fẹ́ ṣàjọ̀dún àbẹ́ni fẹ́ ṣèpàdé o gbogbo ẹni fẹ́ ṣènáwó BCOS event grand òun yẹn máa bọ̀ BCOS event grand òun ló kájọ ẹ̀ fún gbogbo ayẹyẹ èyí tẹ́yìn bá fẹ́ ṣe BCOS event grand òun yẹn máa bọ̀ o. bóyá wá gbé mi débẹ̀ yóò ilé akéde bóyá wá gbé mi débẹ̀ yóò BCOS event grand. BCOS event grand níbi tílẹ̀ ti tẹ́jú àyè ìgbọ́kọ̀sí ń bẹ ìyẹn pọ̀já burata BCOS event grand ìyẹn nílé akéde oríta Báṣọ̀run nílùú Ìbàdàn BCOS event grand òun yẹn máa bọ̀ o. ohun tá à ń sọ ni pé fónírúurú ayẹyẹ tẹ́yìn bá fẹ́ ṣe ó ti wù kó fẹjú tó BCOS event grand òun ló kájú ẹ̀ òun ló káàtó ṣókùn àgbàlẹ̀ yìí fẹ́ ṣe ni tàbí ìgbéyàwó tàbí birthday tàbí open year crusade ó sì jẹ́ book launch ní tiyín ni ẹ máa bọ̀ ẹ̀yẹ sáti kàn sí wa ní yàrá kẹrin commercial department BCOS ilé akéde tàbí kẹ́ ẹ pè sórí BCOS customer care line tololong 0915-870-3300 BCOS event grand ilé àríyá fáwọn tó mọ bó ṣe ń lọ.
You're about to listen to the hottest sound. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 98.5 FM. You're listening to the Urban Frequency.
n'ihi na nwanne ya Chukwu jiri jaa nwoke na nwaanyị mma onye ọbụla mụrụ naanị obi anakwara ndị nwunye mma oyibo anakwa agwa anyị love your neighbor as you love yourself ya oge bụ mmadụ dị gị n'anya ka isiri n'onwe onye bukwele nwanne ya onye bukwele nwanne ya onye bukwele nwanne ya enyi ọha bụrụ ikwo onye bukwele nwanne ya n'elu ụwa omebu mmanụ hapụ nwanne gị n'elu ụwa onye agbeli ozu hapụ nwanne gị n'elu ụwa onye arụrụ ala ghara nwanne gị ọma na obiri ngo igwe nwanne gị naanị gị birila n'elu ụwa anyị nọ onye nwere nwa chọpụ nwanne ya n'elu ụwa dị n'elu ụwa ga-enwe wole ụwa kwụ n'ike omebu mmanụ hapụkwanụ nwanne ego ọ chọpụkwala n'onwe ya akụji obi okoro onye bụla mama onye bukwele nwanne ya nwanne ego onye bụla papa onye bụla nwanne ya onye bukwele nwanne ya omemma nke ndị mmekwu
They say never think or speak negative about yourself. That one alone self will put you inside disagreement with Chineke Allah God, your creator. Ade, we come back after Newscope. Take them easy. OLUYOLEFM 98.5 every day. Before we walk out, we step aside. We talk about those who be say them go walk. They don't get anything to do.